Welcome back. Second segment. ShakeBack Sports Show. Crossroads. Yeah, we're at crossroads, man, in the United States and across the world. I got some questions I need to ask. Do that here in just a moment. Big day. Sports fans all over the planet, what's going on? This second segment, it is being brought to you by Lake Crest Casino and Hotel. Are you looking for a relaxing getaway where you can play all day and escape the tedious grind of life? Then plan your getaway today at Lake Crest Casino and Hotel, Ardmore, Oklahoma's premier gaming destination. Let the winning begin. Featuring more than 1,000 of the latest games, plus an array of amenities, including an incredible restaurant, exceptional retail experience, and a resort-style pool. And Lake Crest offers everything you need for an unforgettable escape and a winning experience. Book your stay today and go all in on one of the area's most exciting destinations, Lake Crest Casino and Hotel. Visit them at lakecrestcasino.com. Again, lakecrestcasino.com. All right, Big Day, we got a lot to get to here in the second segment, so I need to be very cognizant of the things that I'm going to say. We did talk about the Eagles and the Chiefs. I hate them in terms of being the next two participants in the next Super Bowl, of course, in New Orleans. Let's get to some coaching carousel stuff before I actually get to the rant that I'm going to go on. And oh, by the way, thank you guys out there for checking us out on Facebook, through the ShakeBack Media Group's page, through the network's page, and of course, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter for the network, as well as the ShakeBack Media Group, and of course on Instagram TV. I see you guys out there watching. Welcome your comments, and especially here with the subject that I'm going to get into here in just a moment. But as far as the coaching carousel goes, I got to go to the Las Vegas Raiders, and of course the hiring of Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll comes in as he will be the oldest coach in the NFL by the time the season kicks off in September. And that's okay because he's a young 70, whatever he is, and very exuberant, still has a lot in the tank in terms of being able to coach football players. This is the reason why the Raider Nation is excited as we are. Name the last time we've had a Super Bowl winning coach in our building, head coach, that is, John Gruden. And we saw how that parlayed and played out, and John Gruden is actually being whispered in circles of returning to the NFL after what he allegedly did. Wow. Anyway, so yeah, that's why we're so excited. Josh Bytek comes in as the general manager from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Of course, he was responsible for getting Tom Brady and Antonio Brown and Rob Gronkowski in to the Buccaneers building, and they ended up winning a Super Bowl, the 7th of Tom Brady's illustrious career. And oh, by the way, you know that Tom Brady is a minority owner for the Raiders, so his footprint is all over what is going on. The first choice, Ben Johnson, ended up going to the Chicago Bears. We're aware of that, but I'm not upset about it, and I'm gonna tell you guys why. The reason why I'm not upset at Ben Johnson deciding to not come to the Raiders is because we at Raider Nation, we need a culture change. There's nobody out there better that's available other than, well, he's not available anymore, but he could still jump ship if he wanted to. And that, of course, is Bill Belichick. But who out there would be better in setting a culture than Pete Carroll? He is a coach's coach, or he is a player's coach. He loves developing young men. Here's the thing, though. Here's what I don't want to happen. I don't want to see us sign Russell Wilson. But if we do, only if we can get him at a minimum, like what the Steelers did, and the way that Russell played this past season, he's going to demand a little bit more than the minimum, although he's still getting paid. Well, I don't know how that works when you leave a team or a team leaves you, but they still pay you. So we know that he was getting $38 million from the Broncos, and then he had the 1-year deal with the Steelers. Here is the only reason why I would want Russell Wilson in our building. If he's going to be on a 1-year deal, it's going to be for a cap hit friendly amount. And third, and most importantly, we draft our future quarterback in this upcoming draft season. Those are the only three reasons why I would support Russell Wilson being signed by the Raiders. And I even feel like the fans are in Raider Nation. Check in, man. I even feel like us as Raider Nation, we have a level of excitement that we haven't seen or felt. Not even when we went to the playoffs in 2020 or 2021, whatever year that was, when we were really in the game against the Bengals. And of course, the Bengals went off to lose to the Super Bowl or lose to the Rams in the Super Bowl. But that game, even the excitement going into that game, I don't know if we had the level of excitement that we have now. And maybe because it's anticipation, maybe because it's because of reverence. Maybe it may be even out of desperation at this point. And as a lifelong Raider fan, as a fan that has seen all three Super Bowl championships, as a Raider fan that grew up the first part of his life only a few minutes from the Oakland, Alameda County Coliseum. Maybe I'm just desperate, but who knows? And then we'll see what it is. All right, let's get to some current events. I mentioned earlier in the show, in the first segment, we still want to offer our prayers and condolences and well wishes, positive vibes for all of the families and individuals and associates affected by the two plane crashes that happened this past week. The first one, of course, in Washington, D.C., where you had an airline from American Airlines getting ready to land at Reagan National. And then, of course, there was the Black Hawk Army helicopter that had 3 pilots on it. They were doing their usual maneuvers around D.C. and they collided in the air. And then, of course, the Learjet that crashed in Northeast Philadelphia in a very, very crowded area of that city, which is, of course, the 4th largest city in the United States at just over 1.8 million people. Our well wishes and really prayers for healing and strength and peace go out to all of those individuals and their families. This was, in my opinion, a very preventable event. The crash that happened between the helicopter and the jet airline in Washington was the most serious airplane incident or aircraft incident in the United States in more than 15 years. And our president, yes, he's our president, whether you voted for him or not, he's our president. Our president and his initiative to go in and gut key personnel within the government has a hand in this. If you guys remember, Donald Trump signed executive orders outlawing DEI in federal workplaces, and now it has crept in and trickled to the private sector. He has slashed staff at the Federal Aviation Commission. I don't know if that's what it's actually called, but you guys know what I mean. He cut a lot of the bosses there. And even the advisory council on preventing things like this that we saw from happening was disbanded. And then that's the seed that was planted. And then it sprouted into his rant to the media at a press conference addressing the crash over the Potomac. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that if you support that type of behavior from the leader of the free world, and how free is it? That's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. That is an entire show in itself. How free is it? But for him to get up there at that podium and have the nerve, the audacity, the unmitigated gall to say that the reason for the crash was because there were pilots and there were people that were in charge that did not know what they were doing because they were non-white, not a non-white man. That is essentially what he said, because he blamed it on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Number one, I'm taking offense to that, because I am a DEI whatever. And they have demonized DEI so much these past few weeks or several weeks that it's like now you have a scarlet letter on your head. But let's talk about DEI and what it all includes. It includes black men, black women, women, period, and anybody that has a descent from a country that is not the United States. That is DEI. And last time I checked, there are more of us than there are of them. And I don't mean black folks. I don't mean black men. I mean, there are more people that are considered DEI than they are of white men. So my question to you guys, ladies and gentlemen, is this really what you voted for? A man that gets up there and doesn't address the country. He doesn't address the victims' families. He doesn't offer any comfort. He doesn't offer any compassion, any decency whatsoever. He's blaming DEI, and there's no evidence of it. We've seen this movie before, because this is the same dude that said the 2020 election was rigged with absolutely no evidence. As a matter of fact, there was evidence. There was evidence that there was no widespread fraud that would have affected the election in the way that he said. And if you remember, I watched his inaugural speech, or a speech at some other function off from the inaugural or the inauguration activities itself. He even said it then. Yeah, they stole the 2020 election from us. Y'all know that. Everybody knows it. Well, if that's the case, then why are you president again right now? Why are you the president again right now? Because you can only run for 2 terms. You can only be president twice. And now they have introduced a bill that will allow this dude to run for a 3rd term. Everything that he said he was going to do, he is trying to do. It is unfathomable. You have people, look, there are a myriad of us that are, as a lot of us are fortunate and more fortunate than some other folks. And we have to have compassion. And here's another question for the Christian base that loves Donald Trump as though he is their Jesus. What part of anything that Donald Trump has done in this presidential term that is reminiscent or reminds you of anything that Jesus Christ himself did when he was walking the earth all those years ago? Name one thing that Donald Trump has done this presidency that mirrors that. I'll wait. I'm still waiting. Because he hasn't done anything. He hasn't done anything. He only cares about himself. And I have decided that although I will still engage Trump supporters on social media, I'm not going to take on the weight of not understanding why people think the way that they do. I'm not going to take on the weight of trying to figure out why they can't see what this man is doing. And they act like, some of them act like that he is coming to roost or break bread with them in their own house. And if you invited Donald Trump to your house, especially a lot of his base that are beneficiaries of DEI, that are beneficiaries of federal assistance, if you invited that guy to your house, my number one question is, how are you going to feed him? Because he cut off your benefits, or he tried to cut off your benefits. So how are you going to feed him if he decides to come? Because he ain't coming. He would never come. Thank you for voting against your own interest, because that's exactly what you did. Prescription drugs are up. Healthcare costs are up. The price of eggs is continually going up. As of February the 1st, he's going to implement the tariffs on China, Mexico, and Canada. pissing off our allies and even our biggest trade partners around the world. And that is going to further drive up prices. So my question is this what you really voted for? Yes, it is, because you voted for it. And every economic person tried to tell us, everybody or anybody that has any cachet or any knowledge or expertise in the realm of economics and world relations, they told us that this was going to happen. And now he hasn't even been president, y'all, for a whole month. It ain't even been 30 days. It's barely been 2 weeks. And we're already having to deal with this mess. And a lot of people seem to think that in terms of whether or not he's going to make it throughout this term. I think he's 81 years old. He looks exhausted every time we see him on TV. I pray for the man because he has no heart. He has no heart. And the heart that he does have, it pumps ice water because he has no compassion for anybody. I have never seen anything like it. And to keep on belaboring the point, I have never seen a support system that is so strong for an individual that has these characteristics and lacks the Christian and spiritual gifts that a lot of his base say that's there. I'm looking at it from a spiritual eye. I don't see any of it. And I just want to know, what is it that you see? Because you can't be a Christian and favor one group of people over the other. That's in the book. The book. Entertaining strangers. Be careful how you deal with strangers, because you could be entertaining angels and not know it. That's in Hebrews. What part of any of those two scriptures has Donald Trump exhibited? I have not seen it. And if you have, please point it out to me, because I love to be wrong, because when I'm wrong, that means I get to learn something. And that's what it is. Come on back to the other side of the break. We're going to get to the NFL again because the Cowboys have made a hire as their new head coach. And what's up with the New Orleans Saints? Why don't nobody want to go there? Saints fans, I need y'all to light it up, man, because nobody wants to go there. Mike McCarthy was supposedly going to be one of the leading candidates to land that job. Kellen Moore decided to not even interview with the Saints. What is going on in the Big Easy that has become I shouldn't say that. That's become what it is in terms of nobody appearing to want to go there. I would be interested to see or to understand or think or find out if Doug Peterson is interested in that gig. So, big day, sports fans all over the planet. Willie Epting Jr., y'all come back and holler at us.